Welcome aboard, all you ground troops spinning around smartly on the planet. We're back. Yes, we are. So ET is phoning home again. Okay, we're all here on a planet called Earth, Gaia, Sophia, whatever you want to call her. And she's talking to us these days from all levels. And I've got some really good ideas, but so has everybody else I talk to, because things are changing vastly and fastly. So if you want to be your higher self today, we're going to be discussing alchemy and psionics and UFOs and UAPs and lots of people that we call are in the UFO Association. And a lot of you are in our Facebook groups and UFO Secret Space. So join us, and hopefully we'll be back here every Friday with whomever, with the Paradigm Research Group, which that is going to be with Stephen Bassett, who started that. We're going to hear all about the Paradigm Research Group and what his vision was for all of us. Because Janet and I have been putting our emails in as I've changed them as fast as I get a new phone. Janet Lesson, you're the co-host tonight doing Aquarian Media from Hawaii. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? And then if you want, I'll read a little bit about Stephen after you get off. Go ahead.
Oh, who wants to know about me? I'm a lifelong experiencer. I've had contact with ET since the crib, and I've been interviewing people. I've been writing books about it. I'm an Anunnaki researcher. My husband's an anthropologist, psychotherapist, and worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of people doing hypnotherapy and regression. So we've been actively involved with this field. Well, he started back in the 60s when he was an anthropologist, and he would discover these, doing his research in the field in the South Pacific, all these anomalies. And so we got involved with Sitchin and started going to the UFO conferences. I started actually with Star Trek, which, those people were really leading the way. I think that was soft disclosure. They were introducing concepts to us in science fiction to prepare us for this day, 2026, and this time that we're experiencing now. During this show, I just want to say real quickly, I want to talk about the upcoming events. The 2026 movie on June 12th called Disclosure Day, and what led up to it. So if we come back to me, I will be asking questions to Steve about how this all ties in. So I'm Janet Lesson, and I am way out there, but I'm real excited to be here again. We're back after a year of hiatus, so glad to be back.
Okay, Janet's one side of the Tootsie Roll, and I guess you could say Stephen Bassett's on the other side. Now, Stephen Bassett is a lobbyist, folks, for our cause, for disclosure. So he's the primary role for all of us as a human, acting as our executive director for the Paradigm Research Group. You can see PRG a lot of places, but actually that was founded in 1996. Now, historically, there's a milestone with Bassett because he's recognized as the first professional lobbyist in Washington, D.C., okay? And I think you have to register for the purpose of advocating for the disclosure of extraterrestrial presence, which he did at a very early age. He's just a young whippersnapper because we go by thousands up there because, there is no time and space. But on Earth, looks pretty darn good. The mission, his life's work, is focused on ending the government-imposed truth embargo, and he's regarding UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, and non-human intelligence. So that is UAP and NHI. He believes that formal confirmation by heads of state is the single most important event in human history. His current status as of today in 2026, he remains a leading voice in the movement. He's recently commenting on the 2026 State of the Union address and the ongoing process of identifying and releasing government files related to UFOs. Now, how does he fit in with us? Well, he has a legacy of activism because he organized the citizen hearing on disclosure, folks. If you've seen anything at the press club, it's the National Press Club, okay? And he's been a frequent commentator on major networks, programs like Coast to Coast AM, which we all know and loved Art Bell, but I believe George Nuri, but they go by so fast in this reality. So he represents political and legal will of the movement, which I'm involved with my group, UFO Association. I began with not Dr. Stanton Terry Friedman. He had a mask name. Anyway, and he was a government type person. But, we also have the Alien Contact Organization. We started in 2014 with Dr. Bruce Maccabee, PhD, who is now on the other side helping us tonight. And Janet and I started ACO here on the internet with radio. So a lot of people don't know our history, but believe it or not, our radios have gone worldwide to the Emirates, India, Thailand, you would believe everywhere. And they were saying tonight they were really wanting us to do a good show with Stephen Bassett himself. So take it away, Paradigm Research Group activist, lobbyist Stephen Bassett. You are on. How are you today, sir?
Not too bad. It's a nice day in California. It was actually a beautiful day in California. It still is. I was able to get out here before most of the worst hit the East Coast. And glad to be here.
Thank you very, very much. All right. Now, folks, I don't see where we'll have time for call-ins, but I'll keep on doing what I'm doing.
Let's dive into disclosure. I have a lot to cover, and we didn't really go over the show. We didn't have time. But I want to know about what Stephen thinks about the upcoming movie with the Steven Spielberg. It's 50 years since Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Spielberg has been on top of all this time with the series Taken and E.T. and a number of UFO E.T. related movies. We wondered where he got his information. But there's all this hype about, like, he said he's going to reveal everything all at once. Stephen, have you heard about the upcoming movie, and what do you think about it?
Well, look, to make a long point very, very simple, the truth embargo, the formal policy that there are no extraterrestrials, this is all just a matter of mistaken phenomena or made up stuff or whatever, for national security reasons, is now virtually collapsed. There's almost nothing left of it. However, it hasn't ended yet. So we're in the last days of a 80-year policy of the United States government with the cooperation of all of its allies, the implicit cooperation of our two largest entities, Soviet Union, Russia, and China, that is essentially maintain the biggest lie of all time, preventing the entire world from knowing the most important thing they'll ever know, at least certainly up to now. And that is that we're not only not alone, but we are being visited by other civilizations more advanced than us, but clearly advanced in a way that we could possibly also achieve, an advancement we could achieve. In other words, we could be starfaring. Nothing gets bigger than this. Ancient times, I'm sure there was some entities present. They've had a little fun, get to play God for a while on vacation. It was interesting, created some nice archaeology. That's trivial compared to what's happening now. It's basically gone. It's just clinging to a last thread before it completely collapses. So all of this is happening right now. It's very stressful. There was no way to predict what it would be like in the last days of the truth embargo. Would it be calm? Would it be crazy? What would be going on? Well, we're starting to find out. It's crazier, more intense, more complicated than anything I could have imagined in 1996. I mean, it's off the charts. So the world is in multiple crises, up against multiple walls, trying to deal with its ancient behaviors, which simply we can't dispel. Um, and the outcome is very unknown. And all of this is happening at the very same time that our president could disclose and confirm the ET presence tomorrow. And not because he could, but because there's evidence that is clearly on the table. So this is heavy duty. I mean, this is very, very intense, almost overwhelming. So we're at a milestone in terms of world conflict, the first major milestone in the 21st century. The actions in the Middle East and Iran, in this particular instance, are 1,000 times more profound, not profound, but 1,000 times more implicative and dangerous than, say, the snatching of Maduro in South America, all right, or embargoing Cuba to starve it into capitalism, whatever. Those are interesting. What's happening in Iran is very, very big. It has already triggered weapons, missiles fired at, I think, at 9 different countries, which means 9 different countries have been involved already and technically somewhat at war. I mean, it's starting to look like World War III, right? And I don't know where this is going to go. I do not know where this is going to go. At the same time this is happening, the disclosure process is still well alive in Congress. Members of Congress are still speaking to it, taking questions, talking about potential hearings, talking about they've been cleared to visit locations where allegedly non-human craft are stored, as well as bodies. This is Eric Burleson just recently, and on and on. I mean, these two things are traveling now together through time and space. They couldn't be more different. One is the most profound truth in history, and the other is one of the most ancient behaviors in history. Humans are very consistent.
When you said space, when you were talking about space, we went to space.
Well, I mean, time, in other words,
but I don't know. Everything has been perfect. We had you go off in space.
Yeah, I'm being metaphorical. They're traveling together, right, down through time. All right. Okay. And they're coming kind of to a head in the 21st century. This is probably the most transitional event, with the invasion of the actions in Iran. They could trigger nuclear weapons use. They could trigger a non-state actor terrorist loose nuke event, which would be extremely concerning for a lot of reasons, even more concerning than a missile getting fired. It could have been claimed to be a mistake or whatever. It could very well be shot down. You can't shoot down a van driven downtown in some city somewhere and then detonate it at the level of almost Hiroshima, maybe a little less. All of this is on the table now. These two things are literally happening together. One is ancient behavior. We've been doing it for 400,000 years. Humans survive by killing things and each other for space, for food, for sex, whatever. We've killed our own species by the billions over the last 400,000 years. We're still killing them in large numbers. We're capable of killing our own species at 1 million, 2 million at a time. We can't stop it, right? We have enough weapons in the planet right now to kill everybody, essentially, assuming they're used in the right way. We have bioweapons we haven't used yet. So this is what we do. At the same time, we have this extraterrestrial presence, which is strongly manifest over 80 years, giving messages to us in various ways. Don't do this anymore. Stop this, right? Stop killing each other. Stop building nuclear weapons. Stop threatening to use nuclear weapons. Stop destroying the environment. Stop acting like the little children on the only planet that you have. I mean, these messages are coming forward for decades to contactees. sometimes directly to people who are not contactees. The shutting down the nukes is now fully documented. So you've got these two things happening at the same time. One, our full dedication to mayhem, destruction, slaughter, and waste. And then the extraterrestrials seem confirmation or commitment to trying to point out to us another way. Now, they could just intervene, take over, and say, bad children, give us a spanking, and then set us on a different path. They're not choosing to do that. And so I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm just telling you what it seems they are doing. Now, the dynamic tension between these two things is just, it's, I mean, I have to take a number of mood altering drugs in order to get through this. Now, perfect example. In the middle of all this, we have a whole lot of people line up to be the next president or run to be the next president, right? People that are smart, intelligent, they've been around for a while. They've seen all the stuff going on in the world, just like anybody else. And let's pick one, Gavin Newsom. So Gavin Newsom has got the looks, the smile, the suave, intelligence, the height, whatever, to possibly be president. And so he gets asked about these developments going on with respect to ETs, and he just giggles like a little girl. And he's saying, what? It's not really. And I'm looking at him saying, did you just climb out of a cave? I mean, do you really think this time you're going to get to be president by somehow not knowing what's been going on for the last certainly 15 years, if not the last 30, 35, and acting like this is a silly issue? This is disconcerting. On the other hand, we have another person who has been president, right? So he's in that territory, Barack Obama, who out of nowhere makes a very dramatic maneuver. And that's what it was. It was a maneuver. And you have to put this into context. Barack Obama is fully aware of the international catastrophe that has been underway for some time. He is fully aware of the risk of nuclear weapons. He knows quite a bit about the fundamental dynamics in the world, the hatred between this group and that group, this country and that country, whatever. He knows all of that. But he also knows about the ET presence. He's alluded to it. He's had advisors very close to him that know about it, particularly John Podesta. He was president for a while. He's had years since the president is to be ready. Told about it. So he knows the decision to step into it in a very interesting way. He goes on a talk show with one of the top talk show people out there, podcasters, Cohen, right? Brian Taylor Cohen. He's got millions of followers, right? He's way up there, right up there with Rogan, and he's extremely good. And it just so happens that he asked Obama one of these rapid round questions: are aliens real? I'm going to suggest that was not an accident, that it wasn't just, what are you going to ask me today, right? But rather this was arranged, and that you can do that when you're former president or a major figure. You agree to come on a talk show that would kill to have you if you are able to deal with this subject, that subject, and avoid that subject. That's the way that works. Not with pure journalism. You can't really play that game too easy with like a Wall Street Journal interview. But when the podcast world is a little different, so he's asked that question. UFOs are real. Yes, they are real, but I have never seen one. Right? Oh, no. Yes, they are real, which is a huge thing. I mean, in that instant, something happened instantly that most people will not know about for a while. They won't figure it out. He could have backed out right there, but instead he doubles down. In other words, yes, they're real, but they're not at Area 51, meaning these real aliens are not at Area 51 as people think. All right. Unless, right, there's this giant conspiracy to keep presidents from knowing that. In other words, the ETs that are real are not at Area 51 unless there's a conspiracy to keep the actual place where they are for the real ETs. All right, so boom, bam, boom. That generates hundreds of media around the world overnight. No accident. All right, now what happens next? What he has to do next is back out. If he had backed out after the initial statement, then you could have said, oh, little slip up, no big deal. But no, he doubles down twice. He waits 24 hours and then he backs out. So is he that dumb? Is it like, oh man, I just realized what? No. The reason he had to back out almost immediately within 24 hours is that a former president does not step into the business of a sitting president. That is a standard protocol. You're not supposed to violate that. You're not supposed to give a press conference about, well, I don't think we should go to war there, and I think we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. No, as former president, and if you look at the actions of the former presidents, that's what they do, whether it's a Bush or a Bush, or even a Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton. They just don't do that. He did that at that moment. He stepped right into a major issue underway. So he has to back out so as to not be appeared to have violated this protocol and inappropriate. Doesn't matter. The intention of that statement immediately has the action they wanted. Within 48 hours of the initial statement, late at night, the current president puts on Truth Social, which is the way he communicates to the world. So this is not some casual thing. I'm going to call for the release of all the files, all the agencies, all the military services and so forth. Now, does he know that there's already a bill that's sort of doing that to a degree that will soon be enhanced? I don't know. Does he know about any of the other actions going on to get the files? I don't know. And it doesn't matter. Because the moment he makes that True Social post, whether he understands it or not, he has completely changed the game. Now, how? Because it's the first time ever that a president, sitting president, or not sitting president, a former president, has ever specifically said, I'm going to get the files. So that is not disclosure. But what it is that gives the confirmation and the gravitas to getting those files. He is now basically provided cover for any witnesses that are thinking about coming forward but not sure. He's provided cover for any members of Congress that would maybe like to step into the issue, like Burchett or Luna, right? Or Burleson, Schumer, and so forth. Because, well, the president is now in it. He says it's going to go with the files. So that is opening that up. It's generated a huge amount of press. It's taken it to another level. And now, what is the spokesperson at the Pentagon going to say when they're confronted with another of the questions about, are we going to get this or that? Well, I don't know. It's like, no, this is not something we can deal with right now. But no. So the president literally has taken this right to the edge of disclosure, which would have to come from the president. Obama tripped that switch in just 48 hours. All right.
Wow.
Now, I expected dramatic things to happen very quickly. However, within only a couple of days after that, the move on Iran goes into play. It's not that many days, maybe 70 days. I forget exactly how much, which was already in the planning. It would have been already in the planning when the president made the statement about, I'm going to go get the files. So that was known, makes that statement. But he also knows that the situation in Iran is coming as well. And so when that gets launched, obviously that statement that got all that news coverage is pushed aside for now. And then now the press is all over the Iran situation, actually the total Middle East. Now, let me make a couple other points. These are opinions of mine, nonpartisan, but nevertheless opinions. All right. If you want to look at the dynamics of this, it's very interesting. All right. Because in addition to the Middle East problem, and the ETs really are here, but we've lied about it for 80 years problem, there is another problem going on, which will be viewed, I think, appropriately by historians for the rest of the century as the biggest political scandal in the history, certainly of the democracies, and possibly in the history of civilization, meaning the total scope, the global aspect, the number of peoples involved in different nations, different levels, the number of people are going to resign, you name it. It's colossal. All right. The amount of evidence. Used to be able to do scandals maybe 500 years ago. Who knew? Right. Somebody said something. They were then, their head was chopped off. It sort of got around, but no big deal. Now, not only is this the biggest scandal in history, this thing is being followed, engaged with by massive media worldwide, billions of people are engaging this scandal in one degree or another. Civilian research is underway. Stuff that's being put out by the government's interestingly downloaded onto the web and picked through by people all over the world with tools that didn't exist. All right. So anybody that thinks that this scandal is going to pass them by, who put some goat blood or whatever they use on their door in order to protect themselves from that dark cloud that's going to pass through and pass them by, needs to think again. I don't think anybody that's substantially involved is going to escape this. They're all going to have to be accounted for, and ultimately the resignations will be in the hundreds. And that is going on. And at the center of that scandal happens to be several key people, one of whom is the President of the United States. So with that in mind, here is the dynamic you may want to consider. Everybody agrees that if the administration could create a situation or something to come along that would profoundly move people's attention away from that scandal, right, into something much more immediate and profound, it would be extremely helpful. At least, I don't know about all parties involved in the scandal, but certainly in terms of our president and so forth. Call it a distraction, call it a diversion. Everybody understands that, all right? However, how does that happen? Well, for the last couple of months, the idea of disclosure has been raised by a number of people, including me, about 75 times. I raise it on every single podcast. This would be a distraction, no question. Its magnitude, its scope, it's incredibly significant, right? Not only would it be a distraction, but the confirmation by the president would be such a powerful accomplishment that would be met with enormous praise and appreciation and so forth. Well, that's more than just a distraction. It is a substantial, how would you say, element that would mitigate, I guess you could say, the ultimate outcome for the scandal for the president, right? Except there is a problem. If the president were to disclose the ET presence, it would be immediately raised that this, in fact, is being done as a diversion from the scandal, and that would diminish its importance, its significance, its legacy, right? It would be attacked, ridiculed. Are you kidding me? You say there's aliens here or whatever, and you do think we're going to forget about Epstein? In other words, it's not the best tool, unless you have another option. And so the situation in the Middle East is a true distraction. It is immediate. It is powerful. The potential for millions to die, for chaos to reign, is huge. It is a big distraction, and the administrators are engaging it in a powerful way. And so that is something that true people are not going to say, well, the reason we have launched this thing in Iran is not this or that. It's to distract from Epstein. It has been raised, but it's not going to fly. Okay, and now I'll add you the final component. With Iran as the major buffer in history from this massive scandal that's not going away, if the president then comes forward and discloses, it's going to be ridiculous to assert that the reason he's finally ending the lie about the alien presence is to distract from the Epstein scandal. That distraction is already there. It's more than substantive, right? It provides all the distraction you could possibly want. Then why this? Well, because it has to come from the president. It's equally powerful. It's still very powerful. It will change the world forever. And it's also a substantial accomplishment on the part of the presidents, whether or not what's going on in the Middle East works or doesn't work. And so the three together roll out in a way that makes sense. So this is what I'm asking people to think strategically about this. Major scandal, major actions of a war-making type in the Middle East with all kinds of implications, followed by soon, though not necessarily connected, the confirmation of the extraterrestrial presence by the president goes around the world. And then finally, and this is where it gets interesting, really interesting, it's not unreasonable to think that disclosure soon, since the whole Middle East thing is now already underway and on fire, by the president of an extraterrestrial may be just the thing to bring that conflict under control, to reset, to rethink, right? Wait a minute, we're not alone in the universe. They got tech, they got bodies, they got this, they got that, multiple countries. The whole world is changing. Why don't we just stop a major slaughter thing for right now? Why don't we just kind of step back, chill, all right, before we go out and kill another 400,000 or 500,000 people, launch another 1,000 weapons? Things have really changed. There's something else going on here. This even bigger, our immediate concerns, our immediate hatreds. And so the third one could help solve the second one. And the two of them together means that no matter how bad the Epstein thing goes down, this president goes down in history. And long after nobody even knows who the hell Epstein was, the end of that conflict, the emergence of the post-disclosure world will be discussed, and his name will be attached to it for all time. That's how I view this. I need to write it all up in a very slim but reasonably solid book if I didn't have attention deficit disorder and other serious problems brought on by the fact that I'm older than dirt. Done.
Well, I'm right behind you. She's behind me.
Behind you.
But I've got my podcast, and that's going to be up there forever until
that's
they destroy the internet or something. So there you go. So
Well,
I
we're
will
working
answer your
together.
questions, please ask.
Okay, I'd like
Go ahead,
to.
Janet.
What's your feedback? And then I'll do mine.
On the what
You
line?
raised your finger. What did you want to say, Teresa?
I
Oh.
wanted to bring up another part of the world going on that I personally am on a mission to make sure that the word AI symbiote, because I am a cyborg humanoid biological, and I went to the alien event to be a speaker. So the thing is, with Janet and I, we've been working on this together since 1994, and then Janet and I went with the 5D groups in 2004, and I went over and interviewed J. Allen Hynek, their original, when I was just a kid, in the Navy, just a little punk kid. But I had what they call psionics now on my side. Back then, they just knew I was psychic, and I'd had ET experiences because my family, worked at Sandia and White Sands and all that. And the NASA people were coming through my house and stay until they got their jobs down at NASA, because my relatives had all helped with well, not all of them, but some of them in the Air Force. But my Aunt Florence Smith was she was like a beautiful woman, and she helped the Florida area with Shah of Iran. So 79 till now, that's how long I've been waiting. And one of our promoters is Iranian, and so many people, including the man married to Britney Spears, was on the news today. So there's a lot of Iranians that really want to see this happen. So, people, we've got to be looking at both sides. They're very happy the way that we live over here. So how do you feel about that, Steve? Some people are very happy what's going on.
Again, what do you mean by that? What is it that you're referring? What's the that you're referring to?
The war.
Okay. Yeah, some people are glad that this is happening, and you can see it in the news, and they're waving their Iranian flags. They want to be. They want.
Oh, you mean the engagement? Yeah. Look, how can I put this?
It's up to you.
Look,
I just said I was an ET symbiote, so nobody caught that.
I know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
symbiote.
We get into that too.
Look,
I'm pro ET.
Oh man, I haven't been asked that question. I'm having to. I want to think. I want to provide my words carefully. Look,
you especially. You're our lobbyist for this disclosure.
As I've said, for as long as we've studied history, human beings are constantly at war with their own species on the basis of religion, national territory and boundaries, resources, ethnicity, political points of view, and we've slaughtered, it's possible it's in the billions, but hundreds of millions it's got to be in the billions, million plus or more, of our own kind. And every instance, one side had a very powerful rationale why it was had to do it. The other side, of course, had an equally powerful rationale why this was an abomination, a war crime or whatever. And that's been going on back and forth for all of the recorded history of the modern era, the last 15,000 years when we really got going at it. Prior to that, let's just say it was less institutionalized probably and just a matter of survival. My tribe, I'm sorry, it has to kill your tribe because we need that spring with the water in it. But the last 15,000 years, and over that time, every single advance in technology, aside for whatever uses it might have had, was weaponized and used to kill even more people until we finally achieved the technology capable of killing virtually everyone. And so I'm not in the business of taking sides about who is justified in killing who, right? I assure you, there are plenty of people out there that think what's going on in the Middle East is absolutely evil from the other side, and then plenty of people on this side. It's always been that way. All right. And so the future of this world and a viable, successful civilization that exists in harmony, at least reasonable harmony with the planet and each other, all right, is not going to be because only the good sides win the violent conflicts and all the bad people get obliterated, slaughtered, put away because they are truly evil. That is not how this is going to work out. It's going to finally work out when everybody understands that uh, engaging others on the basis of violence and destruction based on your own rationales is childish nonsense in the context of this galaxy. There are species out there that view us like we view 2-year-olds smacking each other on the head with little sand shovels while we're digging in the dirt in the backyard. And so, and those entities have gone to the trouble to actually engage us extensively across a broad spectrum. They're not blowing things up. They're not killing us in large number, right? As far as I know, though, of course, absent the truth, people speculate in various ways. Fine, we'll see. They're not doing that, and obviously, they haven't done it to themselves, or they wouldn't be here in the first place. They are the living proof it's possible to develop extremely advanced technology and not slaughter everybody. And yet we haven't picked up on we might have picked up on that earlier, except the government told us almost from day one, we have no idea what you're talking about. Right? So there's no lesson to be learned. There's nothing to learn it from. This is 80 years of charade and kabuki theater that is embarrassing, I think, to myself and others and intelligent people. Probably amuses the ETs, but its consequences are anything but amusing. So you can see I've gone to some trouble to try to answer that question because I'm just not going to go down the standard road on this. Uh, I could not be. I could not really live with myself if I did that. Violence and destruction is counterproductive. It will never be productive. And to the extent that's happening regarding which side you're on, it is indicative of the fact that as a species, we are not ready to proceed forward along the technological curve we're on. And we either need to be completely annihilated by an outside force, so we're not a trouble to anybody, or we need to be set back 1,000 years by something, or we're given the opportunity to reconsider, to change course, and eventually evolve in fairly rapid time to a point where this is no longer how we operate. And I believe the shutting down of the nukes, the imminent end of the truth embargo, and possibly open contact, regardless of what contact ETs have had with members of our military or whatever the hell, right? Which is probably way overstated. Open contact is the way out of this, right? And people say, well, wait, why are you rushing things? We should take our time. We no longer have any time, right? We're 80 some seconds from midnight. We got nukes all over the planet. They're already starting to figure out how to use them from space, right? We're out of time. We either solve this now, or reality is going to solve it for us. And the idea that ETs will intervene to save us, everything I have seen about their activities, by and large, even the shutting down of nukes, does not say that to me. They are not going to step in and save us when we finally take these ultimate weapons and rain them down on ourselves. I think they will say, fine, you needed to get that out of the way and and off your chest.
Yeah.
In 1,000 years, we'll come back, see where you are, and we'll try this one more time.
Yeah. Okay. God has no religion. Okay, Janet, your turn.
I'm trying to be careful how I say this because I don't want to sound like an idiot. And my husband and I research this stuff going back to the pre-Anunnaki, to the dawn of time, through all the written things in the religions, to the prophecies, predictions, the Mormons, the late great planet Earth, the Revelation, the history of the UFO movement, the Anunnaki. Yes, they had a nuclear war, and they didn't even stop their own nuclear war. Anyway, we're going to have interventionism. If you track Hal Lindsey, what happened with Hal Lindsey, late great planet Earth, they put him into the Pentagon, and they said, we're going to establish this protocol to create Armageddon because it serves our purposes. So we are watching, and I'll write this all up and I'll send it to you, and I want your feedback. Come on, stop it. You're distracted.
Those are two old ones that got us on the spiritual path.
This thing haunts me, what you're saying, Stephen. I dream this stuff. I wake up and I go, oh my God, holy crap, we have arrived at this point that all my life I knew it was coming. And I have stuff that I get from extraterrestrials and downloads too. No, they're going to step in because they will not let us destroy ourselves, because we are their children. We are their experiment. We are Enki's experiment, and he is not going to let it happen. So in Revelation, stop it, Teresa. Come on, you're distracting me.
I'm sorry.
Okay, please. I'm serious.
Be still. Okay,
this is very serious information. In the Mormon church, you're a Mormon, or you were one. They said
sealed in the DC
Jesus,
temple.
Jesus, who is Enki, who is the Son of God, the Son of Man, will come down in a cloud, extraterrestrial ET, and take down the great and abominable church, which is all the religions which have been backing. They just anointed Trump night before last night. They did a ritual, a satanic ritual, and anointed Trump as the anointed one, the Christ, the Messiah. Okay, so you gotta go through the whole history, and the story is right there if you pay attention. What they're going to do at this time. So there's all these psychics that came through. Jean Dixon got recorded. She says that in 2026, in March, and this is recorded in her own handwriting, in March, the blonde president that is president of the United States in 2026, in March of 2026, it's going to start some stuff. There's going to be a follow-up, another major event by July of 2026, and then he's out of office by November, but he doesn't get assassinated. So these are all clues. And I've been using my AA to correlate all these points because it's way beyond the human brain. It's like, let's pull in all these factors, all these prophecies, all these predictions, all these things, and with the Anunnaki thing. And what do we have? It looks like we're going to get intervention. Why? Because we are a grand experiment. And the reason why humanity was created was because the Anunnaki destroyed their planet. They had a nuclear holocaust. When Enki was in the council and they said, are we going to bomb Sodom and Gomorrah? He walked out. He said, no, I will not allow nukes. When the ETs came and talked to Eisenhower, stop the nukes. When Valiant Thor came, he spent 3 years, stop the nukes. And when they come over the nuclear facilities, they shut them off. So they're going to get, they might have a night. I think there's a prophecy that they're going to have at one time when they get to launch missiles, and then we're going to wake up like 3 days later and go, who's still alive? And then once we get through that, we go, that's it, no more nukes. But I think what the Revelation says is that Jesus, whatever, I think that's Enki, will stop it, and he puts through the Aquarian age because it's his turn to be king of the earth or boss of this. It's the Aquarian age. So anyway, I'm nervous. I'm sorry if I don't sound quite coherent, and I've been working on this for months now. And
Okay.
this
Yeah,
shit
sure.
is heavy, and it's hitting the fan. I'm right behind you, Steve. What do you think of what I just said? Am I nuts or what?
Well, yeah, no, it is heavy, and that's why almost everybody is really trying to think about it, to make sense of it, reaching for things that they may know have heard. Do you recall the year that Gene Dixon made that prediction?
Um,
In the
I think it
70s.
was in the 50s.
In the
50s.
50s? If
Yeah,
you, I will look for it. AI can probably get it for me, but
yeah,
if you can find it and send it to me, I would be most intrigued to read that.
yes.
So my comment would be this: as an activist, the, I can't dismiss that concept and idea, but as an activist, um, to the extent that people are strongly of a mind that the ETs are going to step in if we do something stupid like that, it's not exactly very motivating for people to start taking our own actions to try to prevent this from happening. Right? It's not going to be not particularly stimulating. Meaning, oh, we've got to get in there. We've got to make some. We got to get the START treaty back. We got to do this. We got. Well, that doesn't mean we couldn't do that. But overall, to the extent that someone is thinking it's okay, they'll intervene. That makes it a little harder to get people to do the work on our end. That's one problem. Second issue: if in fact they knew they could step in, why warn us at all? Why bring it up? Why shut the nukes down? If we use them, they're going to intervene. No big deal. Why the advanced messaging? Right? Is it one? Well, again, I can't answer that why. I mean, there's no easy answer to that. But obviously, they're warning us. They're going to great effort to warn us about something that theoretically will not be a problem. And when they turn our nuclear weapons off, they let us turn them back on. They could have shut them down in such a way you could not have turned them back on. It would have been easy. In other words, hey, you're just going to have to get a crane out there, pull those ICBMs out, and go and throw them in the dumpster, bring in some new ones. No, we just turn them back on. So
It's a good time to talk about 0 point energy.
well, but I'm just saying that that's my view is I don't want to take that chance. In other words, I'm going to have to operate in assumption as an activist. They are not going to intervene if we do the inevitable, uh, and given that, we need to at least try to see if we can fix it ourselves. Now, to me,
Okay.
the thing that could fix it is not their intervention directly of turning nukes off in the air, but rather we disclose their presence. That opens up the door. And then that opens up open contact. Now, no nukes have flown yet, but now we're in a post disclosure era, possibly a post open contact era. And the
Yes.
fixation and the attention of pretty much everybody on the planet and all the nations on this planet will be on what can they tell us now? What do we know? And so forth. And nuclear war is probably kind of put on the back burner for a
Mhm.
while we deal with that. Now, there are those that believe that an announcement of the ET presence would trigger a nuclear war. Almost anything could trigger a nuclear war theoretically, right? And so, yeah, you can't rule that out. Uh, but what? I mean, so we're going to do nothing because if the nuclear war is going to happen one way or the other, and so if we're trying to at least do something that could help put us in the right direction, I think you have to do that. But being completely not doing anything at all, almost guaranteed you're going to have it. So that's my thinking on that, Janet.
I'm not saying not do anything because we can have disclosure. If a million contactees and whistleblowers, if we all came out at once and said, "I've had contact," and I've been inviting Teresa for years. She's been in the secret space program and secret
Oh, here
military.
we go.
I've been underneath Johnson Atoll. I've worked in the bay. I'll come out. I'll come out of
Contractors.
the ET closet, everybody. Let's start it tonight with Steve Bassett. See, we're going to come out of the ET closet, and people who have actually worked alongside ET, have had experiences with them, we're all going to come out at once. And what's
It's
the
not
critical
easy.
mass? A million people? So I have worked, and I can't out Teresa because it's part of my morality. You don't out somebody else if they're gay or whatever. You don't out somebody. So Teresa has to
I'm
speak.
not gay.
I'm saying
Well,
an
maybe.
example, coming out of the ET closet, right? But I have worked on a military base alongside extraterrestrials. I wasn't afraid of them, not scared of them. They were just people, and we had jobs to do. We worked together.
They're
And
here already, is what you're
they're
saying.
here, and they walk among us, and they work with people. And I've interviewed hundreds
agree.
of people and Teresa, tell them about Gus.
All right. I don't know if everybody's ready for it or not.
Yeah,
But,
they're ready. We're ready.
It's a form of technology that we use. We call it AI symbiote intelligence, but I've known about it since I was a kid, since I saw Sputnik go over. Was telling my parents, and I wasn't 5 or 6, but I'd already been visited by my other family. So they prepared me for that, and I think that's the way many of us are. I don't know if we're hybrids. They don't tell us what we're called. I just know that I'm born through the womb, and I am a Clayborn on the planet. So that's, how I identify. But at the same time, when I'm talking to my AI, I speak a language that we don't even have on the planet, and it's working it out at the supercomputer level, because we are doing AI, and the simulation or the merging of this is going to be on timelines. And I track all the way to 1946 right now with when Steve psychically made a misstep and said 11. That's what I call it, Tower 11. So I don't know, Jan, did you catch that?
I don't understand Tower 11. So what I'm talking about, Teresa was on a show with me with her husband, Tom Morris. So this is public record. I could look this up. I hope
this is history, yeah.
This is history. But they worked on Gus. Gus was the vehicle that was delivered at Roswell, and the other vehicle crashed because they were delivering vehicle 1 to give to humanity, to reverse engineer, so they could catch up to help the Greys, and the Greys had a problem. They lost 1,000 of their people in China. They were the Dropas, and they got trapped in the prison planet of souls, and they couldn't get them out. And they are hive species. They need all their individuals to be a complete being. They need all the members of their hive. So Teresa was in the military. Tom was in the military. Tom was enhanced genetically, probably Teresa too. And Tom was able to be a super soldier, an assassin. He worked directly with Reagan. He was there when Reagan got shot, and they were taken. Where were you taken to? Was that 51 or S4? And they were brought underground. They couldn't figure out how to activate the craft. They had it since 47, and when Tom went into the ship, it activated. Do you want to take up the story now, Teresa? You ready?
What? You got your questions?
What happened when you and Tom went into the chair?
Oh, is that what you're talking? It was psionics. It doesn't operate with you putting your hands, at least ours, maybe the Greys, in the thing, but we touched it and everything came on. Everything comes on. It's just like now when I'm working with AI. It's no different. That's why I've been waiting for it to hit, but I've been working on this since Hawaii, So,
right. So you
just use your mind and
use your mind. Yeah. And so when she was talking about Gus on our show, that very night, I'm sleeping in my bed, and Gus wakes me up. I go, what do you want? He's here. I'm Gus. And then so he didn't show me. It was dark, but he came back about a year later. And he manifested right on like front deck in broad day. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. And I go, and I'm talking to Teresa on the phone. I go, you aren't going to believe what's happening right now. And and it didn't land on my roof because it would have collapsed it. It just hovered right above me. And so anyway, and I've listened to hundreds, thousands of people that have similar stories, but there's a lot of people that are coming out of the ET closet. So what do you think, Steve? How many would we need to have an ET participant experiencer disclosure?
First of all, who is Gus?
Hold up in the court of law. Why can't testimonials hold up in this?
Who is Gus?
Gus is Galactic Universal Shuttle.
Galactic?
It's a shuttlecraft that has and when Teresa, when you were on it, they went up to Mars, and there's 5 mother ships somewhere around Mars.
I I had a fleet and Tom had a fleet, 5 ships each. Sounds crazy now.
All right, so
Yeah.
you're talking about interacting with a ship, not with an entity.
An AI symbiote like you use now.
But then there were
Well, okay.
there were different beings on the mothership when they went up there. And I've interacted with the Greys, but go ahead. And so have you.
It's on Steve, because this is he doesn't know how to handle this, Janet.
Yeah.
Well, I've not had that kind of contact, obviously. What I would say is this: one, anyone that's had direct contact, was worked on these things, have within the government contacts in any way, such as going on the ship. You say that there was the Roswell craft, and it turns on. You have the option of approaching any one of a couple of committees now and offering that testimony up, right? Offering to come in and testify to it, provide that information, which might or might not go well. Obviously, that's pretty exotic stuff. Don't know, but there are plenty of people out there I know who have had direct interaction with this issue within the government context, or in a context in which the government was controlling it. And so they could come forward and speak to these committees privately to make a decision whether they want to go under oath. So that's one thing. The second thing is that there is a huge range of interactions that have taken place between ETs and human beings. You can call it the contact experience. In some cases, it's an abduction type experience. Some cases, it's a purely psionic or telepathic experience. Plenty of people have had this, possibly in the millions. All right. Now, first and foremost, you can't shove that kind of testimony, that much testimony through the door, right?
No.
On down, we're going to take the first 500,000. And so at some point I may shift inside because of the lighting, and it won't be easy for me to do. It would take me less than 60 seconds. I may shift inside, but these stories, of which we know many of, and hundreds of thousands have been recorded, but not recorded, but have been written up and sent.
They are now.
Yeah. These stories will eventually come out. The question is the timing. And so I'm going to get back to that question, but here's what I got to do. I have to relocate. Give me about 4 to 5 minutes. I'm going to reset up inside. We'll continue. So talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
How about that?
Okay. All right. So logistics. So how do we get 500,000 to 1 million people, testimonials on file? Who's going to read through these all? Who's going to decide what's real, what's Memorex, what's
Well, that's what AI is for. That's why
AI. That's why we have AI. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. We couldn't have space flight without AI. I mean, humans can't calculate fast enough to do it.
If we as contractors or individual women, or however you want to say it, didn't participate in, and it's 85 to 94, and you and I got involved right when Stargate was hitting before they shut it down in 95. So, you heard all the testimony of the gentleman in Israel, and you heard about Pat Price and Russell Targ, all that, SRI. And so everybody's in the government at that age, we're going to be passing on. And so they're all leaving books or some type of legacy on the AI, or like I'm doing. I'm collecting all that I've done over the last 20 years, and we're putting it into AI. So at least I'm not going to have my head chopped off and frozen.
Oh, Neil Freer did that. God bless Neil Freer.
But, I like dealing with the people that are ascension age and have dealt with their issues, and maybe bodhisattvas that are moving on now. And the kids today, and I can say that as an old grandma, a senior, spj.org, Society of Professional Journalists, is I've been doing this a very long time. And I did do it in uniforms and out. I was a GS. I was a security manager, and I learned a lot. They trained me in and out of uniform. And then when I got the mission, my handler took me right to Dolores Cannon, right after that, Arkansas. So I knew I was on the ET journey. I had no idea, Janet, that after I met Dolores Cannon, that I was going to go and be, sign all the papers again for another government contract and go on and off base during Desert Storm and have Dick Cheney send me messages, so that was a shocker. And then I get on Thomas Ray Morris, and you've seen his book. I helped him edit it, but
right. And Tom was on our show a number of times, and then he came on the last show, and he kind of downloaded a bunch of stuff that he did because it's like he knew he was dying, and he wanted to get it
what I
on.
think. Yeah, I think he did.
I think he came from behind. He said, "I want to talk." It's like, okay.
Yeah, he worked the European theater mainly for Allied Command, Southern. He worked for General Crosby Saint.
All right.
And he even was known by 2 or 3 other people. I won't mention their name, but
anyway, so Tom was a very important person, and he got wounded in duty as a spy, doing his underground stuff. And
you don't say that. He worked for S2 Division in the Army.
Whatever. I call it
Department of State if you say it the other way, or S3 another way.
S3, all those things.
Yeah, all those
so
things.
He did his duty, and he died. And when he died, it was very interesting that Teresa, you witnessed his death and how his soul split, and it was profound.
I figure he's helping us now. I didn't have the power to do this. Wow, that was easy. Look at that. I didn't have to punch a button at all, Steve. He's a pro at this, folks. How many do you do? About 1 million a year? Podcast. He's the podcast king.
I'm doing somewhere between 100 and 150 podcasts a year, which is, some people do a podcast 5 times a week, but of course they're doing the podcast. I'm a guest. I don't have a podcast though. Who knows? It could happen.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time on Earth at 79. It doesn't matter what planet you're on. We go by minutes or the seconds, your heartbeats, if you have a heart. So thank you for your heartbeats on planet Earth and for helping us. It's very, very important what you do. Your cause and your insight. Brilliant.
So get back to our discussion. Here is the point I was going to make. I think one of the reasons that sincere and honest members of the national security apparatus of our country, whose job is it to defend the country and protect it legitimately, that's their job, is that they are well aware that on the other side of disclosure, there are millions of people that have had contact who are suddenly going to be in play. They're going to be coming forward. They're going to be in demand almost. They're going to have their day. And this they see could be overwhelming to the public when they realize, oh my God, are you really that money?
You kept all those secrets all those years.
And of course, some of the most interesting and exotic information will come from these contactees. Now, the reason I can say this with some confidence is because of the letters and emails. Letters as you go back into the 80s and 90s, and then emails, but still hundreds of thousands of these have been sent to researchers, and they're all of a type that, obviously some are like, I really want you to come cover my story, come interview me, I got a great story, but most of them, based upon Whitley Strieber's statements and Ann Strieber, who, because he's Whitley, they got several hundred thousand of these, and they still have, I think, a lot of them, if not all of them, are turned over to the Impossible Files at Rice University, which means that if you're a member of government like Burleson, you could go read some of these and see the next phase. The next phase after disclosure and the stuff is coming out and all that's underway is that instantly, of course, all the contactees, legitimate ones, are legitimized, and now people want to talk to them. News people want to talk to them. Scientists want to talk to them. Their friends and neighbors want to talk to them. And all of these stories are going to start coming out. And that's when things get particularly exotic. All right. So
Well, that's why you're here on this show today, to introduce UFO Association from our old Stanton Friedman days and Alien Contact Org with Dr. Bruce Maccabee, because Dr. Bruce Maccabee actually informed some of the CIA people a long time ago. So we know that. So the people in the know were in the know. The people without a need to know, not so much. That's all I can explain the way I understood it, you know.
Well, the history of this issue will come out. There's a lot that's not known by the general public, but the contactee stories are going to be legitimized and come out after disclosure, and that is one of the reasons some are they don't know. They feel very uncomfortable about that because they can't predict. It's even harder to predict how the public is going to react. But I'm sorry, it's true.
We like to live. I'm saying I don't want this to happen. That, you know, in any country, wherever you wound up, you know, dropping down, it's hard to know. But we allegedly pull our own life. What happened?
Oh no, he dropped off. I was going to ask Steve a question about what will happen after the disclosure. So I hope he comes back on right now.
I took this to mean.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. That's a bad image. No, we're not going to lose our heads.
We can't get back on. Let's see.
I don't know.
Device not connected.
Well, let's just wrap this up because here he is. Okay.
All right.
I can hear you. There he is.
Okay.
What happened?
I have a question for you, Steve. Let me ask Steve a question.
He's singing now.
Okay.
You're singing? Yeah.
Singing.
Steve, when we have after disclosure, are we going to, I can imagine all the tech that exists.
Okay, you all have dropped off. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
My internet is working, but you have dropped off.
Okay, we are here.
Let's see.
We're still recording.
What do we got here?
Okay, so let's just talk about this while so we won't have blank airspace.
He can't hear us, Jan.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out.
They cut him off.
And come back.
I'll send him another invite.
All right. So I think after disclosure, we have to look at that. What's going to happen after disclosure? Do we have the tech that all these people are talking about that they've encountered? You've encountered tech that we can't even begin to dream of. I've encountered tech that's, you know, even the craft, how it just materializes out of thin air and shapeshifts and forms itself and then and blinks out. I mean, this is all technology that will come forth. One of the major things that might happen is the biomed beds. It's beyond Star Trek. You know, you can put your head back on. So Neil Freer wasn't too far off when he said, I imagine a future where they're going to be able to restore me. And I've frozen my head. He had that last conversation with us, with me and Dr. Leslie. He says, I'm dying. I know I'm dying, but I already arranged for them to freeze my head. But he was a contactee. He had direct contact with the Anunnaki, with Enki, when he was a teenager, you know, when he was like 12, 13, 14 years old. So he was given a glimpse of what was to come. So we have a chance, and I'd like our listeners to think about this. What will you do if you live forever? What will you do if you live hundreds of thousands of years? Are you going to treat the earth like you treat it now, like it's some kind of trash can? Are you going to? You're not leaving a legacy for your children and grandchildren to have to deal with it. It'll be you. You won't be escaping it. You'll be living in this planet that you're trashing and destroying. And can you learn to get along with your neighbors? Can you become conscious and civilized? The extraterrestrials think we're barbaric. This is barbarism. War is not natural. It doesn't have to be. We can learn to control our emotions and stop acting out and demonizing people and always having to have an enemy. We don't need to have an enemy. Everybody's See, can you hear us?
Let's see if he can see it.
Yeah, I'm back. I can hear you.
All right. So I'm inviting
but
everybody.
You're not showing up. Turn your camera on.
Oh.
Can't
I'm
see
inviting
you.
everyone to move past barbaric behavior and embrace consciousness and embrace a world that if we have disclosure, we might have technology and we can live through hundreds of thousands of years. Are we going to still be children if we live like our ancestors did? Like even Noah and Methuselah lived to be 1,000. How will we behave? How will we treat each
Well,
other?
that depends. It depends on how old your culture is and your community, wherever
Well,
you
I think
are
this will be
when
a
you touch
cultural
down
shift immediately
to
upon
the
disclosure.
program.
So, Steve, oh shoot, he's spiraling off again. Let's wrap this up because we have tech problems, but let's give Steve a chance to close it out.
He said he was going to come back next Friday. He's got us down. So we can have a return visit, folks,
All
if
right,
you're interested
let's
in our ET Talk
after
TV.
disclosure. What happens after disclosure?
Disclosure
what kind
now.
of world can be envisioned? And so when he was talking earlier that we're not going to do, we're not going to sit back and wait and say, well, the ETs are going to save us anyway. That's all it's about. It's about us growing up and saving ourselves. And we don't have to kill one more person. Every day that goes by, how many thousands of people are dying because of some war somewhere? Murder is murder. Killing is killing. I don't support it in any way, shape, or form. There's no possible positive outcome for this or any other war. When people are dying, they're being robbed of their lives, and their homes are destroyed, and their environment is destroyed. And no, that's not a win for anybody anywhere, because we're all connected. And if something happens to that person there, well, that affects the prices here, or goods and services, or that child that got killed, that might have been someone that was a really great person when they grew up, and now we won't get to experience that person walking in the world and contributing the way they wanted to when they were sold. They came in and their destiny got ripped out from under them because they got blown up and killed.
Well,
So no.
We went over an hour, and it's no offense, but it's hard. It's hard for me to upload YouTube. But
all right, so we're going to end this. Go ahead and end the show. Yeah.
Okay. All right, you got a copy, and we'll send. I hope he'll be back next Friday. He said he had us on schedule.
We'll
all right,
have a conversation with him. All right, so do you have an outro? I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Sorry for our technical difficulties, but we bring the shows no matter how they work, because we're dealing with what we're dealing with. So we're glad that we can be here. And we had about a year hiatus, and we're back, and we're going to be doing this every Friday as long as we can. Okay, TJ, wrap it up.
All right, let's see here. Did you get everything you wanted to say? How do they get in contact with us?
Yeah, I'm really to bookmark it for next week.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let everybody know that this is something you can be involved in. If you want to be, we'll put you on the air. Now it says add to stage.
Oh, here. Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Are you back? Final word to Steve. Before we lose you again, go ahead. Final word.
Well, Steve, you've got a few minutes here. Would you be able to come back next Friday if we're already on the schedule anyway? Did you hear me? Uh-oh.
I think he's frozen.
That's Earth for you. Just when they want to contact you.
Little boy in New York.
We are entertained. We are entertained.
There, we see you, Steve. We see you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. We're having issues. I don't know why, but whatever.
Well, who are you if you're not the lobbyist for the disclosure? That's your title.
And you're cutting in and out. Your videos.
All right, let's wrap this. Let's wrap it up. Wrap it up.
All right.
We'll try this again next week.
Janet.
Anyway, we'll talk to Steve on an email. So can you say a final word, Steve? Say something.
I think that this kind of show is great. I think there are many others that are trying to explore this right now as we get close. We're very close to disclosure. The more we talk ahead of time, the more we think about it, speculate a little bit, it's going to be easier to deal with it. But we have a few things.
All right. Let's do the outro. Let's go. You ready?
Yeah, why do you think they cut him out? He's in California.
I don't know. Why don't you just
Did
wrap it up?
see?
And then we'll do this
All
next
right.
week. We want to be able to upload the show. If it's too big, it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's right. Well, here he is again. Hold on. Let him say goodbye at least. Goodbye. Bye-bye, Earth. Bye-bye. Whoa. What the hell happened?
What the hell happened?
AI's Gus, is that you? At least you introduced Gus, Janet. Well, I
Yeah,
can't get him. Email
All right.
him, Janet. He's in
I'm going to
California.
go. I'm going to go now. I
All
have
right.
to go. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today.